It is indeed my good fortune that heaven has sent me today, you four old masters, to complete this number. Please leave me your honored titles, and you must stay here for a month also. Please wait until we have performed the ceremony of the completion of a vow. Your disciple will then escort you all to the mountain with horses and carriages. Our region is only some 800 miles from the Spirit Mountain. It's not very far. Exceedingly pleased by what he heard, Tripitaka agreed to what he proposed, and we shall leave them for the moment. Several houseboys, old and young, went into the squire's residence to haul firewood and bale water. They also took out rice, noodles, and vegetables in order to prepare the dietary meal. All these activities led the aged wife of the squire to ask, "Where do these monks come from, that they have to receive such special treatment?" When our master asked these four noble priests about their origin, replied the houseboys. One of them said that they were sent by the great Tang Emperor to worship our Holy Father Buddha in the Spirit Mountain. Who knows how great a distance they have covered to reach our place, but our master said that they came from heaven. He told us to prepare a vegetarian meal quickly to entertain them. Delighted also by what she heard, the old woman said to her maid, "Get me some clothes. I want to go meet them also." "Madam," said one of the houseboys, "you want to meet only one of them, not the other three. Their features are extremely ugly. You people are just ignorant," said the old woman. "When the features are ugly, strange, or extraordinary, they must belong to celestial beings descending to the region below. Run along now and announce my presence to your master." The houseboys dashed out to the sutra hall to say to the squire, "Madam is here. She wishes to meet the venerable fathers of the land of the East." On hearing this, Tripitaka rose from his seat as the old woman arrived at the hall. She raised her eyes and scrutinized the dignified and handsome features of the Tang monk. Then she turned to look at Pilgrim and his two companions, whose appearances were extraordinary indeed. Though she thought that they were celestial beings descended to earth, she did feel a little nervous as she went to her knees to bow to them. Hurriedly returning her salutation, Tripitaka said, "The Lady Bodhisattva has erroneously paid us great homage." The old woman asked the squire, "Why aren't these four masters sitting together?" Sticking out his snout, Eight Rules said, "We three are only disciples." That one declaration of his seemed like a tiger's roar deep in the mountain. The old woman became more frightened than ever. As they spoke, another houseboy came to say, "The two uncles have arrived." Turning quickly to look, Tripitaka found two young scholars who walked up the sutra hall and bent low toward the elder. Tripitaka hastily returned their greetings, while the squire tugged at him and said, "These are my two sons, named Koliang Beam and Ko Dong Pillar. They have just returned from school and haven't had their lunch yet. Learning of the master's arrival, they have come to bow to you." Delighted, Tripitaka said, "Excellent. Excellent. Truly. To exalt your house doing good's the rule. To have good sons you must send them to school. Where did this venerable father come from?" The two young men asked their father. "From a great distance," replied the squire, laughing. "He is someone sent by the great Tang Emperor in the land of the East, at the South Jambudvipa continent, to go see the Holy Father Buddha at Spirit Mountain and acquire scriptures." One scholar said, "I read in a guide through the forest of affairs that the world is divided into 4 continents. Our region here belongs to the West Aparagadaniya continent, and there is also an East Purvavidiha continent. I wonder how many years it took him to travel from South Jambudvipa to this place." With a smile, Tripitaka said, "This humble cleric on his journey has spent more days in being delayed than in traveling. Frequently I fell to poisonous demons and savage fiends, to thousands of bitter ordeals. I am fortunate to have the protection of my 3 disciples. Altogether, I have experienced 14 summers and winters before arriving at your treasure region." When they heard this, the 2 scholars paid him effusive compliments, saying, Truly a divine monk. Truly a divine monk. Hardly had they finished speaking when a young boy came to say, "The Megare has been spread out. We invite the venerable fathers to partake." The squire asked his wife to return to their residence with his sons. He himself accompanied the 4 pilgrims to the dining hall for the meal. The appointments in the hall were arranged in a most orderly manner, with gilded lacquered tabletops and black lacquered armchairs. The front row of food consisted of a croquant bouche of 5 colors, created in the latest fashion by the most skillful and artistic hands. In the second row there were 5 platters of little dishes, while the third row had 5 plates of fruits. The fourth row had 5 big platters of snacks, every item delicious and fragrant. The vegetarian soups, the rice, the steamed dumplings and buns were all steaming hot and most appetizing. 7 or 8 houseboys dashed back and forth to serve them, and 4 or 5 chefs never stopped working. Look at them. Some brought in soup while others added rice. Coming and going, they were like meteors chasing the moon. Our Jew ate rules, swallowed a bowlful with 1 gulp, and he went after the food like wind sweeping away the clouds. Master and disciples thus enjoyed a full meal. The elder rose and, having thanked the squire for the Megare, was about to leave immediately. Stopping him, the squire said, "Old teacher, please relax and stay for a few days. As the proverb says, beginning is easy but the end is hard. Please wait till I have performed the rite of completion. Only then would I dare escort you on your way." When Tripitaka saw how sincere and earnest he was, he had no choice but to remain. Not until 6 or 7 days had gone by, did the squire invite some 24 local Buddhist priests to conduct a service of the completion of a vow. The priests spent 3 or 4 days to compose the service and, having selected an auspicious date, they began the sacrifice. Their manner, of course, was no different from that of the great Tang. They, too, unfurled the huge banners, and set up the gilded images, lifted high the tall candles, and burned incense to worship. They rolled drums and tapped cymbals. They blew on reeds and kneaded pipes. The little gongs, and the flute's pure tones, all followed the gongcha notations. They struck up the music, and played for a while, before beginning to chant the sutras aloud. First they pacified the local spirits. Next they called on divine warriors. They burned and sent off the documents. And they bowed to Buddha's images. They recited the Peacock Sutra, each sentence woe-dispelling. They lighted the Bai Ajaya lamp, its flame both bright and blazing. They did the water penitential, to dissolve guilt and enmity. They proclaimed the Garland Sutra, to remove slander and strife. Trayana's wondrous law had the finest aim. 1 or 2 shrama were all the same. For 3 days and nights it went on like that, and at last the service was over. Thinking of Thunderclap, the Tang monk wanted to leave. As he tried to thank his host, the squire said, "The old teacher is so eager to leave. It must be that my preoccupation with the service these last few days has caused me to slight you in some manner, and you are offended. I have greatly disturbed your noble residence," replied Tripitaka, "and I do not know how I can repay you. Dare I even speak of offense? It's just that when my sage ruler escorted me out of the imperial pass, he asked me when I would return. By mistake, I replied that I should be back in 3 years. Little did I expect that I would be on the road for 14 years. And I still don't know whether I'd be able to acquire the scriptures. By the time I have taken them back, it will probably be another 12 or 13 years. Would I not have violated the sage decree? What unbearable crime would that be? I beg the old squire to let this humble cleric proceed. Wait till I have acquired the scriptures. Then I'll come back to stay a little longer at your mansion. That should be permissible." Unable to contain himself, 8 Rules shouted, "Master, you're too insensitive to human wishes. You've no regard for human sentiments. The old squire must be a very rich man if he has been able to make such a vow to feed priests. Now that it is completed, and now that he is urging us so earnestly to stay, there's no harm in our remaining a year or so. Why must you insist on leaving? Why should we abandon such ready-made provisions and resume begging from someone else? What old father or mother's family do you have ahead of you? You coolie, snapped the elder. All you know is eating. You never have a thought for returning to your origin. Truly you're a beast who cares only for eating in the trough to ease your belly's itch. Since you crave so much to indulge in this deluded passion, I'll leave tomorrow by myself. When Pilgrim saw that even the color of his master's face had changed, he grabbed 8 rules and pounded him with his fists. This idiot, he cried, without knowing any better, has caused master to blame even us. That's a good beating. That's a good beating, said Sha Monk, chuckling. Even when he's silent, as he is now, he annoys people. Wait till he butts in again with his mouth. In a huff, our idiot stood to one side and dared not utter another word. When the squire saw that master and disciples had become agitated, he tried to placate them with a broad smile, saying, "Please calm yourself, old teacher, and bear with us for one more day. Tomorrow, I shall prepare some banners and drums, and invite a few relatives and neighbors to see you off.